Hey guys, this is Slox here just to showcase the Glacial Hammer 2.2 build. I'm going to go over some of the gear, tell you why I made some of the decisions I did, and then we're going to go ahead and run a map. So let's start off with the gear. We got a physical mace with high attack speed, high physical damage. You can use unique if you want to, and just upgrade as you go along. It's not really super important. Until you get to higher maps. I will use Bringer Ring. I mentioned in the post that I was using a 6-link for a little while. It did give me a lot more damage, but the survivability boost that we get from this, I believe, outweighs the damage that we receive. We already do enough damage. We don't need all that extra deeps. So unless you're really like a tooltip warrior and you really just want to impress people, this is definitely the way to go. I play a lot of solo, so survivability is important to me for maps. We use Aegis Aurora. This is one of our core points of the build. It gives us resistances, it gives us weapon ally damage, and it gives us that replenish energy shield ability, which is really super beneficial. With this build, I think we have about 70% block and spell block because of the ascendancy that we choose. Boots, I love 30% movement speed because I don't leap slam around a lot or anything like that, so movement's really important. You want to get enough resistances on your gloves, your belts, and your boots to really, kind of satisfy your needs. You can get it on your jewelry, but your jewelry is really where you're going to get your damage. So if you get as much as you can on your boots, your belt, and your gloves. Belt here, weapon ally damage, life, resistances, more resistances, more life. You can get attack speed on gloves, maybe some flat physical damage. Attack speed seems to scale really well with Glacial Hammer, so it's never going to hurt. Bad base, but we got weapon ally, flat physical again. I got no life on this ring though, so my life's a little low. Weapon ally, life, resistances, stats, physical damage, weapon ally, etc. So you kind of get the idea. And all of this information is on my thread in the forums. My life does look a little low, but we are very tanky. I've done it zero with this build. I do most map bosses, so I don't have a lot of issues. So let's take a look at the stats. Let's take a look at our Glacial Hammer. It's doing about 43,000 damage in town with our buffs here. We have a 100% chance to hit because we use Resolute Technique. Most of our damage is going to be cold damage. The great thing about this build is it can do reflect maps. If you get both a physical and an elemental reflect, it doesn't matter. Ele hurts a lot more than physical does, but it's not. But because we have 80% cold resistance from our shields, it doesn't really hurt us that much. So you may have to pot a little more often, but it's not a big deal. You can absolutely run reflect maps, which is fantastic. We have almost 7 attacks per second with our Glacial Hammer, which is awesome. And let's look at our resistances. Our resistances are capped even outside of our hideout. It's 76, 80, 75. So we're good on resistances. We have a decent amount of strength. We have to get dexterity and intelligence from gear. You can put a couple points in those 30-point nodes until you can afford to get the gear with the stats. But it's important that we're able to use our things like I use Frostbite and Tempest Shield. That's mostly my requirements. But you do need some dex for some of our gear. Let's take a look here. Okay, so let's go over the gem setup. On my weapon, I have an Arctic Armor, Hatred, and Herald of Ash, which is just kind of placeholder to hold all of our auras. On the helmet, we use Glacial Hammer, Multi-Strike, Blood Magic, and Melee Splash. You could remove the Blood Magic. You'd have to drop Arctic Armor. You'd have to get some Mana Leech. About 0.4% is enough for this build. And then you could do Melee Physical. Oh, I think we have Melee Physical here. So you can do Weapon Elemental damage, or you can do Cold Penetration. Cold Penetration is really awesome for this build because we do so much cold damage. On our shield, we use Tempest Shield, Immortal Call, and Cast when damage taken. that enables us to get that extra 5% that I didn't mention before. So we do have 70% chance to block attacks, 70% a chance to block spells. And with Tempest Shield, we have 3% additional, plus what we get from our Ascendancy class, we get an additional 8, and that's up almost all the time. So we have over max block. You know, if you really want to take off Tempest Shield, you know, you don't have to use that. You can use increased duration if that's what you prefer to do. We have Blood Rage, cast some damage taken, summon Flame Golem, and Frostbite. Frostbite kind of gives us that cold penetration that we're not running anymore because I don't have a 6-link. We get to have Blood Rage up, so we get those frenzied charges, because remember, attack speed's really good for our build. And then our Flame Golem for additional damage, and you can just use whatever golem you prefer. Either the Chaos, just you can't really use the Frost Golem. We use Fortify, Blood Magic, Leap, Slam, and faster attacks. If we're encountering dangerous enemies or enemies that we need a little bit more toughness on, we can Leap Slam into them and then just kind of wreck them. So let's take a look at our builds. For Ascendancy class, we went up to Painforged first, and then over to Versatile Combatant. The tankiness was important to me, so I wanted to get that first, and then we moved over to Violent Retaliation. It's not 100% important to get this. You don't have to get it. You can get something else if you really want to, but it was a preference point for me. So when I started leveling, I went down to this melee physical tree, and I went over here for the extra life and movement speed and attack speed. And then I went straight for Resolute Technique. So I went up here, went over, and hit Resolute Technique. And I have a few various leveling trees for you in the thread, so I'm not going to go over how I leveled fully. It explains that in the thread. But this is what the tree looks like right now. I'm trying to reach up to here. This was kind of a last-minute change. I wasn't originally going towards this, but I think that'd be a good decision. Jewels add about 1500 to 2k DPS per jewel socket, so they're really a nice DPS boost when you can get them. So let's take a look here. 43,551, and this one has max life, so it's not even a full damage one, and it's 41.9. So it's about 1500, and it's about 2000 for the full damage jewels. I went for Diamond Skin because I just don't have the gear to cap my resistances, and I don't want to invest in it. But I do have the tree as it's supposed to be in the thread. But yeah, so now you've seen the tree, we went for some mace damage nodes. We're going to do a map, kind of show you how this build's going. It takes care of trash packs really easy. It's a little more slow and steady with bosses, but with all of our block, we don't have to worry too much. So this is EE, poison on hit, extra damage is cold, and area contains 2 unique bosses. And I thought I'd display an Academy map, because a lot of people have trouble with Academy, and we could do double Academy without an issue. Alright, let's do this. Now the damage is really actually pretty nice, even though I lost about 20k tooltip with moving to bring a ring. We still do enough damage, and we're much tankier. I was taking way too much damage, in my opinion, when I was wearing the 6-link, and I wasn't very happy with that. As you know, we're not really taking a lot of damage. When we do take the occasional damage, it'll be a little bit of a chunk of damage because I haven't prioritized a lot of life in my jewel, and I still have some life to pick up. So you could probably have more than 5k life. It's not absolutely necessary, though. You're not going to get one-shot by most things. I haven't actually really encountered a lot of one-shots. Even at Ziri doesn't one-shot us, I mean, we could pretty much just stand in her Flame Blast without any issue. Let's take care of these trash mobs first. Let's get on the boss. Okay. So as you see, we're just blocking pretty much everything. He has tons of tornadoes around us. We're hitting really fast, and we're taking no damage. Now, to be safe, I pop my, my flask, but it's not really necessary. We took no damage in that fight whatsoever. Not dangerous at all. I'm going to show you a little bit more of this map, and then I'm just going to kind of end the video. If you guys want to see specific maps maybe, or if you want some advice on how to do certain mobs, you're welcome to ask. This build was leveled pretty... I had a good time leveling this build. It wasn't very difficult. I believe I leveled with the shield for the most part, just because I wanted that experience while leveling. And Glacial Hammer is pretty strong. Freezing mobs as you're killing them really creates a toughness for us as well that you just don't really... you don't see in your stats. But I mean, when the mobs can't attack, you're not taking damage. What you're not going to get out of this build, though, is it's not, super bursty. You're not going to one-shot a lot of mobs, but you will see them melt around you. It's very satisfying watching a group of, 20 mobs just melt in front of you. It's super satisfying. But that is it for the build and the video. If you have any other questions, again, if you want to see more from a video, tell me what you'd like to see, and I will try to get it out there for you guys. Thank you very much. This is Slox again, and you guys have a great day.